I spent the last 9 weeks of my life testing out the most popular mental health hacks, and here are all my takeaways. If you want to skip to the TLDR recap, go to this timestamp. But for the people who have time, let's jump right in. Overall, my top 3 hacks were eating healthy, doing a phone detox, and exercising. In each of these weeks, I noticed extremely positive effects throughout the week. And even though there were bad moments, like with the sugar withdrawals, overall, my mental well-being was majorly enhanced. But out of these 3, the phone detox had by far the biggest impact on me. You guys had a lot of questions and doubts about this one, but I promise you, I did not make up my experience for clout. All of you want to know, how did I record this without having a phone? I used a phone with no SIM card or apps to document my week, so I only use it as a camera. And a lot of you want to know what kind of phone I had. I bought the TCL flip phone from my provider for $30. Something that I didn't mention about this challenge was how good my mind felt after not using my phone for a week. I was able to articulate thoughts with so much ease. And the best part was that I felt much more creative. And that was just a week without my phone. The thing is, I always knew we had a phone problem, but I didn't realize how bad it was until I forced myself to look at it in the face. I cannot stress enough how unsettling it was to be in a room with people during this week. Just knowing is not the same as seeing. And I highly recommend trying this one out to see for yourself just how messed up we really are. Moving on to the least effective hacks. For me, they were sleep, hobbies, and spirituality. Although sleep was kind of a fluke because I went to sleep pretty late, even with a healthier routine. So I would try to work on my sleep another time to test it again. As for hobbies and spirituality, I already have hobbies and a connection to spirituality. So these felt more like chores to me, and they didn't really feel so necessary. Now, socializing, productivity, and self-care did have positive impacts on my well-being, but they each required a much larger sacrifice to experience. For example, self-care, while extremely effective, required me to only focus on myself for a whole week, which prevented me from having any other plans that week. Same with productivity and socializing. They're all very time-consuming and aren't really realistic to implement in everyday life. So these are the TLDR takeaways. For exercise, getting there is the hardest part, but once you're there, you won't regret it. The phone detox taught me that society is much more hopeless than we think, and discipline is really the only way out. The sleep challenge taught me that consistent doesn't mean better. Eating healthy taught me that you're gonna need to feel bad before you feel amazing. Socializing taught me that it is a necessary part of humanity, but you have to know your limits. Focusing on self-care taught me that there's a fine line between self-care and selfish, and it's important not to cross that line. Being productive taught me that completing small tasks can help you be more confident in completing bigger tasks. Hobbies taught me not to schedule an entire week of hobbies or they'll feel like chores. Hobbies are for the bored. Spirituality is good for centering you each day to bring you down to earth, and it's a great way to frame your mindset. So now that I know what works for me, I can refer to these practices whenever I feel like my mental health is declining because I know what will have a positive impact on me. But please remember that I am not a doctor or a therapist. I'm just a girl with a phone, and I was curious to test these on myself. And I would challenge you to try this out and see what results you might get, because I'm sure it'll look different for everyone. And if you're looking for a different way to boost your mental health, check out StopTheLoop.com. You're a one-stop shop for mental health. It's also a nice way to support me. Anyways, I really hope you were able to gain something from this whole series, because I know I did. So see you next week.